Coach, I'll start you off. I mean, obviously, just how disappointed or frustrated were you yesterday when the brackets were released and Cal Poly was left out?
I think there were two different sort of planes of emotion. One is I already knew we weren't getting in. I had gone back and forth with a guy named Rich Kern, who advises to the NCAA and has his own power index, the RKPI, Rich Kern Power Index. What it came down to, which amazed me, was RPI, and that's it. What they did essentially was they took all the automatic bid winners, and then they started down the list and took the rest of the teams by RPI, by the ratings power index, and that's a function that is 20% based upon your win-loss percentage, and then 40% based upon your opponent's strength of schedule, and then the other 40% is your opponent's strength of schedule. And so, long story short is I knew we weren't getting in before it was announced. It was just sort of the reality of watching the teams go up is I've been on the other side to see my team come up when I didn't expect it, and it's powerful. But more than anything, I just want to focus on the fact that this team, I believe, was playing at a level at the end of the season that was equal to one of the top 25 teams in the country. They had despite being injured the entire year with key players, Keddy had an abdominal strain. Then Hadia Dominique Olawolafe broke her pinky on her hitting hand and missed substantial part of the season, 12, 13 matches. We had put together a 10-match win streak, and then we never played with a healthy opposite because Holly Franks had a fibular stress fracture. The irony is we would have been healthy for the NCAA tournament, and who knows what would have happened. So the answer to your question is that I was disappointed that the girls couldn't keep playing, and they, especially for Dee and Mort, who just were so great for this program, that they didn't get a chance to continue to compete. But I knew the reality of it, and it is what it is, and they had a great season. And you look at the progress that they made from last year. We referenced this over the course of the year, that last year being a disappointment or not, and we played 5 freshmen. This year's team was the second year of that group, and they did a fantastic job. They finished strong. They did everything in their power at the end to warrant continued play. And here we were thinking that it was going to be the final 10 matches and key significant wins versus significant losses, and it didn't come down to that. It was RPI, and for that matter, just to make my answer as long as I possibly can, the idea of RPI has to do, you'd think, it has to do with my scheduling. And I've talked to mentors about how should I go about this, and they've always said, you schedule too tough. Jon, ever since I came to Cal Poly, it's been, you're bringing on the world. And I think it was the 2007 team that beat Hawaii, Texas, Louisville to get into the top 25. And I always thought, well, that's the way to go. And when we had a tough schedule this year, but it was the Big West that killed us. We actually lost 11 RPI points with a win. We went from 53 to 64 on the final week of the season. We're number 53. I think we still would not have gotten in with that number, but we beat Riverside and lost, and our RPI elevated by 11 points.
Does that make you plan to change the way you schedule in the future, or maybe start a campaign to change how the committee goes about it? I mean, what, if anything, can come from this as far as to make sure?
A lot. That's a good question. I think that it's highly flawed, that with these coaches, all the discussion of, I was on the regional seating committee, and in large part wasted an hour every other Tuesday for about 2 months, because we're talking about who should be seated where in the western region, and it didn't matter. It just didn't matter. We could have been 50-0, and if we didn't win, theoretically, 50-0, if we didn't win the Big West, we weren't getting in, because it was based upon RPI. So I think the RPI is flawed in that they don't give enough weight to your one-loss record, number one, first and foremost. And then when you have a committee, they're supposed to give it's for the kids. They deserve to continue to play, and that really kills me. So the thought of a committee doing a job, they ought to be scrutinizing the body of work of those teams, and they didn't do that. I mean, from what I heard, and that was basically from the horse's mouth, someone who was working directly with the committee as a consultant at large. Anyone can figure out who won this conference and that conference. Austin Peay, Sacred Heart, American, Georgia Southern, at Texas San Antonio, and then go down the RPI. I could have done that. Even I could have done that. So I think that it's a bit flawed. The other action is certainly to scrutinize scheduling, but it's not like I haven't done that every year. I try to steer clear of powder puff scheduling, and this year I thought we had a nice blend of, we scheduled the Big East champion, Notre Dame. We scheduled the Big Sky, Eastern Washington. 3 Pac-10 teams, Nebraska, Arizona, BYU, a perennial in the Mountain West, and I thought that was a pretty nice schedule. But when you get down to it, if your own conference isn't doing like work and they're not winning, they have to not only play these teams, but they've got to win some as well. And you come into the conference and the rest of the conference is not scheduling. I think that's a specific topic that will come up, because I think our conference is angry that as a group, the coaches are angered that 3 teams didn't get in from the Big West because of the depth of the conference this year. But all in all, the girls had a great year.
Yeah, Coach, you tie Long Beach State, you beat them twice, and they get in. I think they had a couple more wins than you guys, but was their resume that much better than in your opinion, than yours? I mean, because you beat them twice.
They undoubtedly had a stronger strength of schedule in their non-conference component. And although we were against top 25 teams, we were 2 and was it 2-1 or 3-1? 3-1. Long Beach State twice, Arizona, and then we lost to Nebraska. So we were 3-1 against teams that had been in the top 25, and that led the Big West. Fullerton was 1-3, and Long Beach was 2-2. But over the course of their entire non-conference, it's not just the top 10 teams. They're looking. It's the strength of schedule. It's circular in a way, because if that's why the Big Ten got 8 teams in, and when you look at that 8th team, Northwestern, oh my gosh, Northwestern was 4-11 in their last 13 matches, or excuse me, their last 15 matches. And I looked at that. I scrutinized the last 4 days, I've been just scouring over the schedules of other teams. SEC got 6 teams in, Kentucky. And it becomes circular because the teams that come in with a high RPI, they play each other. The Pac-10 is going to get their share of teams in no matter what. And, I guess it goes without saying, it's by definition, Long Beach State had a stronger strength of schedule because the 2 wins that they got, did they get 3 or 2 wins more than us?
I think it was 3, wasn't it? 225?
The one that mattered was against Notre Dame. The one against Mercer and Seattle didn't matter. All they did was, like I said, they could have won 35 matches. It wouldn't have mattered. It was that their RPI was high enough. And maybe at some point, at least, this is what I was told. At some point, you wonder, Long Beach State has made the tournament for 26 consecutive years, and I think it's hard for. I think if there's subjectivity into it, the league definitely wants to look at Long Beach State and promote Long Beach State, who won 4 national championships, and I don't blame the conference for doing that. I think they should. They're recognizable nationally, more so than we are. We have to earn it.